Welcome to Let's Talk Jonesboro, and as you know, February celebrates Black History Month, and with us today we have the manager of the African American Cultural Center at Boone Watson Community Center. His name is Roger McKinney. Mr. McKinney, welcome to Let's Talk Jonesboro.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Tell me a little bit about what you have over at the center. I mean, you know, we get living our daily lives, and it's a good thing to remember to go check out the Boone Watson Center and the history that's in it.
Okay, first off, the center was created because there was a need for Jonesboro to learn about the rich African American history that is here in Jonesboro. So in 1997, an organization called Respect took the center, the museum, on as a project. And what they did, they solicited a lot of help from the community. And the Respect stands for Rights and Education for Student and Parents. It started out as a support group for African American kids and their parents in the Jonesboro school system that had issues in the system. It was headed up by Miss Robbie Lyles, Miss Janice Hyatt, Miss Carolyn Shepard, and Mr. and Mrs. Reverend Llewellyn. And what they did, they solicited help from the community as well as ASU to create an African American museum here in Jonesboro.
Very nice. And that was in a time in the 1990s, right?
Yes,
So the African American population in Jonesboro would not have been very significant.
It was very small. Prior to the 1990s, I would say Jonesboro had about 1,200 African Americans in the community. And as time grew, you know, it started to increase. But we started out as a two-room schoolhouse over on Cherry Street back in the late 1890s. And then in 1924, as the black population began to grow, they needed a larger school. So the black community went to the city council and asked for an old dilapidated building in downtown Jonesboro. And they asked for the bricks from that building. And in 1924, they built a new school for African Americans over on the corner of Patrick and Logan Street. And that school stood till from 1924 to 1951. Then in 1951, they built a new school for African Americans, which is now the location of Field and Flo Hospice House.
Oh, that's nice.
And that school stood till 1966, and after the 1966 school year, they integrated here in Jonesboro.
My goodness. So we're just a couple young guys talking here, but we both went to school pre-integration. Me just for a minute, and you maybe for a few minutes longer. Even though you look younger, don't start. But tell me about your experience with your blacks only, separate but equal school, and then the transition you made into integrated schools.
Well, while attending Booker T, you know, we thought we had the best of the world. But we didn't realize that, you know, the term separate but equal applied to us. So when they integrated here in Jonesboro, we were kind of reluctant to go to the school, not knowing that it would, you know, help us in the long run.
And what grade were you in at that time?
I was going into my 11th grade.
Okay.
I went 2 years to integrated school.
So you were very indoctrinated in the separated school, segregated
Very indoctrinated,
school.
yes. It wasn't as bad as Little Rock Central.
Yes.
By no means, but you know we had issues.
There were some issues.
But it was new to us and new to the Caucasian students at Jonesboro High also.
Do you recall how many African American students integrated at that time? How many? It was a small number.
It was
sure.
a small number. It was less at Jonesboro High. It was less than 200.
Okay.
From grades, I think from 9 through 12, it's about maybe 200 students.
So you just put your head down and plowed through it. That's an awfully young age to be a part of something so historically significant.
Yes, and like I say, during that time, it was the norm.
Yeah.
I remember we had to walk to school, where the other kids rode buses.
Okay.
So some of the kids had to walk from the north side to Jonesboro High, and me
So
living on the east side, we walked to
There
school.
was the bus service did not come to pick you up.
No,
the school
it did
buses.
not. No, it did not.
Where was the school?
Jonesboro High?
Yes.
It was the same location.
Same location.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a pretty good little hike, particularly on a cold winter or rainy
Especially
day.
on the north side, yes.
Yes. That's so you had to
And
make
during
a
that
real
time,
effort.
very few of our parents had cars,
Yeah.
so we had to walk.
Yeah. And of course, that didn't get you any shortcuts in classes, did it?
No, it did not. Not at all.
I think you were the second graduating class of integrated Jonesboro High School.
Yes, I was. Yeah, class of
All right.
1968.
1968.
Yes.
Very nice. And some of that history is at the on display.
Quite a bit
right
of it's
now.
at the Boone Watson Community Center. When we give tours, we start off with a video. It's a 32-minute video. It's titled "Education in Craighead County: A Way Out for African Americans," and it tells the story about some of the trials and tribulations our parents went through to provide a better education for their kids. Because most of our parents did not have an education. For whatever reason, whether they had to go to work and help support the family,
Right.
they didn't finish the 12th grade. So they didn't want their kids to grow up, doing the same thing. So we start out with a video, and like I say, it talks about the trials and tribulations that they had. And then we go into the museum. And inside the museum, we start out with the local black churches here in Jonesboro, some of the older churches. Okay. And the churches go back as far back as the 1800s. And then we go into the segregated school. And then we go into people that have been involved in the community down through the years. And we also have exhibits of antique items like 1910 sewing machine, 1920 battery-powered radio, 1896 barbershop chairs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of old items, and everything was donated by the community.
Is that right?
Everything.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Somebody had to go to a lot of work to acquire all of this memorabilia.
Yes.
I guess. And so, can you name any names that you'd like to mention?
Like I say, Miss Robbie Lyle's done a tremendous job. She was the first director of Respect. And also, like I said, Miss Janice Hyatt, Miss Carolyn Shepard, Reverend and Mrs. Lou Ellen, and so many, many more. And like I say, the community played a big part in donating pictures and antique items, articles.
That's fabulous.
And then ASU played a big role also. They came in and helped us, organize the museum, and they done the video for us.
And it's located, tell us where it's located, because you told me it was the site of a former school.
Yes, it's located at 1005 Logan Avenue on the corner of Patrick and Logan. And also, it was the site of the first black high school in Northeast Arkansas, grades 1st through 12th.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, this is close to the Medical Mile, right? It's
Yes, it
close
is.
to
Yes, it is.
between
Right off
Matthews and Washington?
Yes, it's right behind Super V drugstore on Matthews and Patrick.
Okay, very nice. It's also a senior center, is it not?
It's
Boone
a
Watson
community center.
Community center.
One
okay.
side is we use that as a community center, and we rent that space out for various functions.
Okay.
We also have various organizations utilizing that portion of the building. For instance, the NAACP, the Respect organization, and different organizations like that utilize the community side of the facility.
Nice, nice. Tell me how you've seen the African American population and the lifestyle change through the years in Jonesboro. I mean, we're talking about since desegregation, we're looking at 50 years almost now.
Yes. Well, like I say, growing up here in Jonesboro, my parents didn't have education, and most African Americans during that time were domestic workers. My mother cleaned house, and my father shined shoes at a local barbershop downtown.
Mm-hmm.
But through the years, that has changed tremendously.
Right.
Tremendously changed.
Education makes all the difference.
Education makes all the difference.
You know, one thing we get lost sometimes, and or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, in just realizing how recent this history is, and you know, only one lifetime, we can be right back in the middle of that.
Yes.
So the people who lived through that, and I guess we see more push to continue for opportunities and education and everything for all people, but minorities always have it a little bit harder.
A little bit tougher, yes. And thanks to organizations like the NAACP, you know, they step in and do a tremendous job of helping promote that type of, you know, lifestyle.
Right. So tell us, I guess, what's going to go on this month at the AAC?
Well, Respect, the organization that founded the museum, they're putting on a quiz program for kids and a scavenger hunt.
Very nice.
And then we got other organizations coming in. We are giving tours for anyone that want a tour. We do individual tours or group tours, small groups.
Wonderful.
So if anyone is interested in, you know, a tour, just call the Parks and Recreation Department.
Okay.
And they'll set it up for you, and I'll be the one there giving the tour.
That's wonderful. How much does it cost?
It's free.
Free
The
tour.
museum is free tours, yes.
That's very nice. Well, I think I'll be heading over there this month.
Great. Love to have you.
Maybe bring some people with me.
I'd love to have
check
you.
it out. Very
You know,
good.
I always say, if you're going to live in Jonesboro, come and learn the history of Jonesboro.
Learn the history of Jonesboro.
Yeah.
That's
Our
right.
African-American history.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. He's Roger McKinney. He's the director of the African American Craighead County Jonesboro Cultural Center. I don't think I got that in the right order, did
No,
I?
it's the Jonesboro African American Cultural Center.
Jonesboro African American Cultural Center. Hey, Mr. McKinney, thank you for taking the time to join us on Let's Talk Jonesboro, and we will see you at the African American Cultural
I
Center.
look forward to you coming. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.